So we've talked about concept selection, storyboarding and outlining your concept, as well as the design elements. Now we're going to get into the actual composition of the music and the process that we use. A lot of times as we're coming up with a concept, John will be collecting source music, or I'll collect source music, and we'll play the source material for each other and go, do you think this is the right feel? Does this work? How long should this be? And when that happens, then I go to work. I sit down, most of the time I sit at a piano, and I'll start plunking out chords, and I'll start trying to get a feel for what's the basic harmony and what are the basic hooks that I want to use.
Because when you say source material, for us it's more just about trying to find a vibe before we have to sit down and write music. It doesn't mean we're going to necessarily like use that song or that material, because most of our thing lately has been, if people don't know the music and it doesn't make or break the concept of the show, if it's that exact piece, then why do that?
Right, I have to deal with the copyright
and the copyrights of all that stuff. So, but it's about, like, in the past, a sketch would come. Hey, we're gonna do this show, like, send me something. And then he sends me a fully orchestrated MP3 with all the pit, and I'm like, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
It just doesn't, like, is that the right vibe? So,
I used to have lots and lots of scraps back in the day.
Yeah.
So many scraps and so many sketches. And through the years, we've learned what both of us are going to probably do when we point into a direction. And we found it best for both of us, if we're going to write original music, to have a source material that we go, well, this should kind of sound like that. It's the same thing they do when they're composing for film. The director and producer, probably the director, will meet with the film composer and they'll spot the music in the film. And they might even put some stand-in orchestral music. They'll put in, like, okay, we want something that sounds like Firebird right here, but we don't want Firebird. And you go, okay, I get it. It's supposed to be this kind of thing. And then you go to work trying to find out what are the elements of that music that make it feel like that. Yep. Now let's reproduce it with these instruments that we have available.
Then lately I've been trying to get him to send me something that's more raw. Like, don't put too much detail in yet. Like, just send, like, sometimes he'll send me literally just a piano sketch. That's it. Yep, that feels about right. All right, and then kind of get the green light, because we're not trying to waste each other's time here.
Right.
And he'll flesh maybe some stuff out more, but he'll still leave space. Oh, there's always at least some spots where it's like, this could maybe be longer or shorter, and this is more of a battery moment, so there's less going on in the pit, and it's like, okay. And then that's where the back and forths start. The back and forths are crucial. Once we get the green light that we feel like this is the right thing, the right tempo, the right feel, and then I'll do my thing with the battery, and I'm also kind of simultaneously thinking about the visual and, like, what's happening and how often is everybody playing, and maybe we lengthen this and shorten this and do all that. There's typically just, like, 3 or 4 back and forths, hopefully, until we get it right. I mean, sometimes it can literally be like 15 back and forths. I mean, it just depends, and the goal is just to get it right, because once again, we're trying to get the kids set up for success, and the more work we can do at home to try to get this thing the best we can, there's always going to be changes, so that they don't have to learn too many different versions of it.
The world's population is approximately 7 billion. This is 14 billion hands and 140 billion fingers. But there is only one fingerprint like yours.
world's population is approximately 7 billion. But most of us pass through this world as if we were never here at all.
When we're planning out kind of who's gonna play when, is this gonna be a battery moment, is this gonna be a pit moment, I don't strategically plan those exactly. I kind of let the music develop organically. And I go, I don't know, this could be a battery moment, this could be a pit moment, but I'm a lot of times, because I'm outlining chords and melodies and hooks, I'm not getting so obsessed with, well, this is a really great tempo for me to get this 1, 2, 3 rotation. I mean, sometimes I do that, but lately I've been trying to just get more of the massive underscore correct. And then we kind of sit and listen to it and go, well, hey man, that thing in bar 34, I could totally hear that being a bass thing. Maybe pull the bass notes out. Let me do some bass stuff there, and then you can have a marimba moment right before that.
Yeah, well, and the trick for me is if he sends me something that's super open-ended, I don't want to now just fill the whole thing up. So we've done things where it's like, well, the battery should play here, and this should be a sectional thing. But we've kind of been doing a lot now. This whole phrase right here, why don't you make this a pit moment? Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, I could do that. Instead of me just filling it all up, like more drumming, you know, coming at you in the gym.
And one thing we did a couple years ago, and we found that, especially when we specifically want something that's not a battery solo, but is very battery heavy and visual heavy, John will write a huge phrase of music all battery first. But it's very musically phrased in 4 bars, or there's a repetitive motif. There's something in there that's kind of intrinsically musical, so that when he sends it back to me, I go, oh yeah, you've got like rhythmic hooks in there, so I can put in bass lines and chords, but we know that right here in this, the battery is a focus for about 30 seconds, but it can't sound like a battery ram. The goal being that when I'm done writing my music, it sounds like my music came first and his stuff came second, and there's the marriage of the two. So
makes you sound like you're really good.
Yeah, right.
The idea too is just we have an extra staff basically in the file for notes. So sometimes if I write some battery stuff first, I'll be like, you know, this is going to do this, and then obviously this will build, and then you might want to hit these rhythms specifically, and then there's back and forth, and then he'll be like, I'm thinking this whole phrase is a snare moment. So the more little notes we have,
we just write it right into the score, and even within his battery score, I might put some just like hairpins and give him some crescendo stuff and go, I think this could be just a big buzz accent diminuendo thing here, and then bass drum unison right there. So it's important to communicate.